أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي بسم الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu and welcome to today's prime time webinar. My name is Hasna Farooq and I will be your moderator today. Today's program is called Legacy Builders: Embracing Prophet Ibrahim's Path to Inspire Change. We are thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today on this remarkable journey of discovery and inspiration. In this program, we will delve into the timeless wisdom and virtues that were exemplified by the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we're going to explore practical ways to embody his remarkable legacy. Together, we will learn how faith, compassion, resilience, and unity can empower us to become agents of positive change in our lives and our communities. We have a couple of special announcements while we wait for others to join. So MCNA offers a wide variety of programs throughout the year. Some of them include Prime Time for Kids, which is a free monthly program addressing current topics and trends for kids. We occasionally have Prime Time for parents too. For example, I think last year in October, we had a parent awareness session on ADHD. MCNA also offers youth courses during the spring and fall. MCNA also offers a Journey Through the Quran program during the course of Ramadan. As for our publications, we have a children's magazine called Companion, which is a magazine for kids, written by kids all across the United States. And if you are interested in that, if you are creative or good at writing, you can send your work to companion@icna.org so that it can be published in the next issue of the Companion magazine. Finally, and we have our chapters across the United States. You can visit our website and the chapter locator at www.mcnaymj.org. You can also follow us on social media. This is a great resource to stay in touch. Our YouTube channel has all of our program recordings, and our Facebook and Instagram pages will notify you of any future events, inshallah. With that, we'll begin with the tilawat of the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. So today, like I said, for those of you who just joined, we are going to be exploring practical ways to lead a life inspired by the exemplary legacy of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. We will explore the trials that he faced and the lessons that we can learn from his perseverance. We'll talk about the principles and the values that he embodied that are relevant to our lives today. And we're going to reflect on the practical ways to implement these lessons in our relationships, in our communities, and when it comes to our personal growth. So let's embark on this enriching journey together as we embrace the legacy of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and discover the boundless potential within us to make a difference. As we know, the Hijjah started, so let's get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and equipped with the tools to become true legacy builders. Our speaker for today, Sister Hamna Shahid, will be presenting on this topic. Hamna is a social worker by training and has worked as a trauma therapist with survivors of interpersonal violence for several years. She spends a lot of her time teaching people about mental health and its connection with faith and spirituality. Hamna has a master's in social work from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She served on the YM National Shura and has been part of the organization for over 10 years in various roles. In her free time, Hamna can be found in the kitchen baking or hiking with her husband and kids. With that introduction, I will hand it over to today's speaker, Sister Hamna Shahid.
All right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. Just give me 1 moment. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. How about now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Perfect. Alhamdulillah. All right. All right, Jazakallah khairan for the patience, guys. Sorry about that. All right, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am excited to be here with all of you guys today. As Hasna mentioned, we have a really fun topic for today. We'll be talking about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his life and his story. And before we kind of jump in, I would like to ask you guys, why do you think we're talking about Prophet Ibrahim right now? Like, why are we talking about him today? Does anyone have any ideas on what is the reason why we're not talking about, for example, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam today, or we're not talking about Prophet Adam, but we're specifically talking about Prophet Ibrahim? All right, so it seems like we have lots of ideas. But yeah, so Hasna kind of gave us the answer for this in the beginning, that we are talking about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam today because he he is a big part of the Hajj celebrations that we have. So everyone knows that we just started the Islamic month, the Islamic calendar month of Dhul Hijjah, right? So we started the month of Dhul Hijjah. This is when we have a lot of people going from all over the world to Hajj, and a lot of the actions that they're performing, the rituals that they're performing, are going to be related to what Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam did, and we're going to talk about all of that today. But it's pretty cool. So inshallah, this is a great time to be talking about and reminding ourselves about Prophet Ibrahim. But we are going to kind of jump right in and get into story because there's a lot to unpack there, inshallah. So today our goal for the class is we are going story. We're going to learn about his story, and then we're also going to try and see, okay, how can we take what happened in his life, what happened in his story, and put it into our own lives too? How can we learn something from his story? So we're going to try to do that, inshallah. Now, I have a question for you guys. Does anyone know what is the title that Prophet Ibrahim was given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He has this special kind of title, a special nickname, if you want, that he was given from Allah. Does anyone know what that is? It's how he's referred to in the Quran as well. Okay, so I see a couple people do know this. Yes, very good. Alhamdulillah. All right. So Prophet Ibrahim, yeah, he has a really special title, right? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's our Lord, right? He's our God. And for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to say that someone is his Khalil, someone is his friend, and it's not just any kind of friend, okay? This is like your very special, exclusive friend, right? Like they're like the best friends. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives that title. It's called Khalilullah, Khalil of Allah, the friend of Allah. That's the title that Prophet Ibrahim is given. And so he's been given the special title. Another important honor that he's been given is that he actually meets the Prophet Muhammad when the Prophet Muhammad goes on the journey of Isra and Mi'raj. Does anyone know what that journey is? What is the journey of Isra and Mi'raj? Give me like a quick one sentence. Like what happens whenever the Prophet goes on this journey? Very good. Yeah. So it's a journey on which the Prophet ﷺ traveled from Mecca all the way to Jerusalem, and then he was called up to the heavens, from the Jannahs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And a lot of you guys are mentioning, yeah, he met the prophets on this journey. So he started off on like the lowest of heaven, right? Like the first level, and then he went up, higher until he met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the very top. But on the 7th level of this Jannah, on the highest level, right before he met Allah of Jannah, he met a prophet there, and the prophet that he met there was Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept him very close, even in Jannah, right? So Prophet Ibrahim has been given a lot of these very special honors, these special characteristics, this special title of being Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's friend. So for all of us, we should be like, well, what did he do? You know, how did he live his life that he has all these special honors, these special titles? Because we want to try to do the same thing, right? All of us want to be the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, all of us want to go to Jannah with our families, and we want to be right next to Allah when we're there, right? We want to be sitting with Allah and be able to be right by him. And in order to do that, we have to learn from the life of the prophets that came before us, right? We have to learn from the life of people who already have been given this honor. So inshallah, that's one of the reasons why, you know, we want to look into the life of Prophet Ibrahim. So I've talked about that enough. Let's jump in, inshallah, and see what we can learn about his life, inshallah. Before we do that though, let's take a second. I want all of us to take just 30 seconds and renew your intention, okay? So we know that in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he rewards us for the actions that we do if we have good intentions. I mean, if we're doing it for Allah, if we're saying, Allah, I'm sitting in this class, maybe your mom made you come, maybe your brother or sister are attending, so you have to sit with them too. Maybe you don't want to be here. But I want you all to take a second and just renew your intention. Say, Allah, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this class, I'm learning about the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam because I want to get closer to Allah, because I want to learn more about these prophets. And inshallah, the whole, you know, we have 49 minutes left. The whole 49 minutes that you're here, inshallah, you'll get a reward for it for every second, inshallah. So I'm going to give you guys a second to renew your intention, and then we're going to jump in. All right, bismillah. All right, so we're going to start with Prophet Ibrahim, the very beginning of his life. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was born in Iraq, and his father, he used to make idols. And his father used to be the one who would make the small idols, the big idols. He would make them and then take them to the marketplace and sell them to people over there. And Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was actually also given the task of selling these idols. So, you know, in a lot of different places, if your dad does a certain business, then you used to help doing that business too. So Prophet Ibrahim, his father would give him a bunch of these idols, the little ones, the big ones. He would have to take them to the market and sell them for his father. But he always felt something strange about it. He never really felt like, oh, this was, you know, a great thing. He didn't really believe that the idols were doing good for people or even doing bad for people. He just felt these idols are something that we're making with our own hands. So how can they help us, or how can they harm us? How can they do anything for us? And even from a young age, he always would just question, you know, like, how is this possible? Like, how are we and why are we worshiping these idols? He didn't quite understand why this was happening. And in their community, the idea was that the bigger the idol was, the more expensive it was, and the more it would help you in certain things. Like it would, for example, they would make an idol, it was really big and it would have like huge ears. And then they would say the reason why the idol is so big and it has such big ears is so that it can hear everything. You know, like if you ask it for anything, it can hear it and it can give it to you, right? So they had a lot of these different ideas about how these idols were gods and how these idols were helping the people, right? But Prophet Ibrahim, he was just searching. He wanted to search for what was the truth. He couldn't really believe that the idols were doing everything and controlling everything in the world. So he kept searching and searching. Finally, there's one day where this is mentioned in the Quran, the story where he was sitting and he saw the stars come up, and he was like, you know, the stars, like, you know, they're in the sky, they look magnificent, they're beautiful. For anyone who's ever, you know, looked out at seen stars at night, and he's like, that's God, you know, the stars are my God. And then he like waited and he admired them and he looked at them, and then as the morning approached, the stars disappeared, and he was like, okay, well, wait, that can't be my God, because your God or your Lord should be there always, right? So he's like, the stars disappeared when the daytime came, so that can't be my Lord. So then he thought about it some more. He looked for other signs and he was like, hey, the moon. He saw the moon. He's like, it's big and beautiful and magnificent. He's like, the moon, that's the Lord. That's God, right? So he looks at the moon and he's like, you know, admiring it, looking at it. And then what happens when the morning comes? The moon goes away, right? So he's like, wait, this can't be my Lord. Like the moon disappears too. So then after that, finally, when the sun comes, he says, okay, that's it. This has to be God. This has to be my Lord, because what? The sun is bigger. He says, Hada Akbar, the sun is bigger. So remember what we said, the idols that were bigger, what was special about them? Do you guys remember? I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Were the idols that were bigger more special, or the idols that were smaller? Anyone remember? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you see how, like, even in the picture, if you can see on my screen, you see the moon, right? The moon's pretty big, but the sun is definitely bigger, right? So the idea was, okay, well, the sun is huge, and so the sun should be my Lord. It's bigger. It's more powerful, I guess you could say, than the moon is, right? The way the Prophet Ibrahim was looking at it. But then afterwards, he sees what? When the evening comes, the sun goes away too, and he's like, wait, that can't be it either. The sun cannot be my Lord either. So Prophet Ibrahim, you can see he's just kind of thinking, he's trying to think about the world around him. He's saying, okay, well, all of my people, my dad, his dad doesn't just worship idols, he makes the idols, right? He's saying, okay, well, my dad, he worships these idols, he makes these idols. My whole community, everybody around him, every single person worships these idols. There's nobody that does anything differently, but he doesn't feel that that's right. So he wants to keep searching for the truth. He's like, what is the truth? Who is my Lord, right? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires him and gives him guidance, right? And teaches him what is the truth and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is his Lord. And so he decides to take the message that he's gotten and he wants to tell everybody else about it too. He says, I want my whole community, because he knows if I believe in Allah, then I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, help me, forgive me and help me get to Jannah. And he wants the same to happen for his family too, for his community too, right? For his dad, for whoever else he knows in their community, in their village, in their tribe, right? So he tries to go and tell other people. He's like, hey, everybody, listen, these idols, do you think they're going to help you? Do you think they're going to hurt you? These idols can't do anything, right? We're making the idols. How can something we make be our God? That doesn't, like, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense, right? And so he keeps trying to tell people, he keeps telling people, but he can't get through to them. They're not listening. So finally, there's this one special festival that happens every year, and the whole village goes on to that festival, right? They put food in front of the idols, and then they leave to the special festival. And so they're all like going, and then Prophet Ibrahim's like, actually, I'm going to stay back. I'm not feeling well. And so they're like, okay, whatever, fine. So he stays there, and then everybody else leaves. While everybody else is gone, does anyone? Oh, well, I guess I wrote it on the screen. But if you didn't read it, does anyone know what happens to the idols? What does Prophet Ibrahim do? If anyone's heard the story before, when everyone's gone to the festival, what does he do? Yeah, great. For anyone who read it or who knows it from beforehand, good. Yeah, so he destroys the idols, right? He goes and he destroys one by one. He takes this huge axe and he destroys all the idols. But he leaves one, oh, whoops. He leaves one of them intact, and that is the largest of them, right? He leaves the largest idol, he leaves it intact, but he destroys all the other little ones, right? And what he does is he puts the axe into like kind of the arm shoulder area of the big one. Like he just sticks the axe there and he leaves it, okay? And then he leaves the area. He doesn't stick around there. He breaks the idols, puts the axe down, and then walks away, right? When everybody comes back, you can imagine, right? They're horrified. They're like, what happened? Like, who did this? They're very shocked. And so when they come, they see this and they're like, some people are like, hey, we heard this boy, his name is Ibrahim, we heard him talking about the idols, right? We heard him, some people say they heard him kind of muttering or whispering that he was going to destroy the idols. And so they call Ibrahim and they're like, hey, Ibrahim alayhi salam, they call him, they're like, come back. Did you do this? And he's like, actually, the biggest one, he's the one who did it, right? The biggest one did it. And like, they're like, he's like, if you want, why don't you ask him, right? Why don't you ask him to tell you what happened? So what's going to happen? Do you think the idol can tell them who did it? Exactly, right? The idol cannot talk, right? It cannot tell the community who did this, right? The idol could not even protect itself, right? Prophet Ibrahim, he came to break the idols and they were so powerless, they couldn't even protect themselves. And the big one, he cannot speak up and say, oh, Ibrahim did it. They can't talk. They can't help you. They cannot cause anything bad to happen to you. They can do nothing. They're literally just stones, right? They're stones that people made. And so that's what Ibrahim alayhi salam is trying to tell them. And I want you guys to like take a second and notice something very important here. Prophet Ibrahim, he doesn't come and like start screaming at them and be like, all of you people, like, you don't know anything, you're worshiping the wrong thing. No, he doesn't do that. He comes to them And first he tells them gently, so many times. He says, you know, my dear father, my dear people, my dear community, please listen to me. This is not okay. Don't worship the idols. They're not going to help you. He tries so many times. Then they don't understand when he's saying it. So he does this he destroys the idols, and he's like, maybe they'll understand now. And they don't understand, right? They don't get it. And so he leaves uh so they're all there, and they go back, like the elders in the community, they go back and they start talking. They're like, okay, what are we supposed to do about Ibrahim? He destroyed all the idols. What are we going to do about him? And so they decide that, hey, Prophet Ibrahim, he's like done too much, like he's trying to change and really get rid of their idols. So they're like, okay, you know, you did something wrong, so we're going to throw you into a big fire, right? That's what their plan is. Their plan is to throw him into a big fire. And so they create such a large fire that apparently, from what we know, the fire was so big that they could not even go near it. They couldn't just, like, it wasn't like a little bonfire, you know, and then you just push him in. They created such a huge fire that they had to catapult. Do you guys know what a catapult is? Can anyone tell me what a catapult is? Not something we see these days. Yeah. Okay, so it seems like maybe a couple people knows, yeah, that what a catapult is. So yeah, so it's basically this machine contraption, you can call it whatever you want. It's kind of used in the old days, not really something we use that much anymore. But if you've ever used like a slingshot, for example, you know how you like put a rock in it and then you pull it back and you let it go, right? And then it shoots really far away. It's the same idea. So the catapult is basically like this device, this machine they use. They put someone, something, whatever they're trying to throw into it, and then they kind of launch it into the air and it flies really far out. And so that's what they did. They made a catapult and they put Prophet Ibrahim in it because the fire was so big they couldn't go near it. So they were like, okay, we created this big fire. We're finally going to get rid of him. Like, he's going to stop telling us what to do. So they launched Prophet Ibrahim into the fire, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he protects Prophet Ibrahim. He does not allow this huge fire to burn him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that he told the fire to become cold and to become easy on the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. It says he told the fire that to not harm Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? And I want you guys to stop here even for a second. Let's think about it, right? That's kind of wild, right? Can you imagine, like, you're doing something and someone's like, okay, we don't like what you're doing, we're going to throw you into like a huge fire, right? That would make anybody scared. And I'm sure, you know, we don't know for sure, but probably Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam felt some fear too, right? He felt a little bit scared too that they're going to throw him into the fire. But even if he felt a little bit scared, he felt this bigger feeling of trusting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to take care of him, right? He said, I don't know how it's going to happen, right? Because it's a huge fire. So none of us have seen a fire become cold like that, right? Where like it doesn't harm someone or something that's thrown into it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who created the fire, the one who created us, he can do anything, right? He can literally make the fire that's burning hot cold. And so that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. He trusted in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He trusted that Allah would take care of him, and that's what Allah did. Allah took care of him. He did not allow the fire to hurt him or to harm him in any way. And that's pretty incredible, subhanAllah. So the fire becomes cold. Their plan is foiled. They're not able to kind of, you know, harm Prophet Ibrahim as they wanted to. And then after that, Prophet Ibrahim, he tells the people, he said, you know, I'm not going to stay here and keep telling you what to do, but I'm going to keep praying for you. He says, I'm going to keep making dua to my Lord because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, and inshallah he will guide you guys. Again, see, he doesn't start screaming at them, be like, well, you guys, what do? You're throwing me in the fire. No, he remains calm and gentle, and he says, I will make dua for you. I will make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he guides you and he shows you that you should be following him and that these idols are not going to do anything for you, right? And so he tries to communicate this with them. They don't get it. And then eventually he makes hijrah and he leaves to another area. And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he makes his hijrah, and as he's going, he's trying to teach people about Islam, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on his journey. He keeps trying to teach them about it, and as he's going, he comes in contact with this evil ruler, this evil king. His name was Namrud, okay? He meets with him, and this guy was like, no, he believes, this king, he believed that he was God, right? So has anyone heard of this story before? I'm going to take a second. If you've heard of this story before, can you tell me a little bit about what happens? If you've heard of Nimrud and Prophet Ibrahim's story with him, what is their interaction? What does he say to him? And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't heard of it before, just hold on just a second. I want to see if anyone's heard the story to help us out. All right. All right, so maybe some of us have a couple ideas of what might have happened, but let's go ahead and jump into this part then, inshallah. So he goes and he sees Nimrud, okay? So Nimrud, he's like this evil kind of king, this evil ruler, and he believes, like we said, he believes that he is God. He believes that he is the Lord, right? And so the Prophet Ibrahim goes to him and he's telling him, he's like, hey, like you're not God. There's only one God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Lord. You have to worship him. And he says, Prophet Ibrahim tells him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gives life and takes away life. He's the one who controls life and death, right? And then Nimrod's like, actually, I control life and death. And so what he does is he brings this prisoner that was supposed to be killed and he lets him go. He says, you're free, you can go. And then he brings an innocent man who was just kind of, chilling, walking about, and he kills him. And so that he's like, you don't see that? Someone was going to die and I saved them, and someone was living and I killed them. So I control life and death. And Prophet Ibrahim's like, okay, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can make the sun rise from the east. So you can make it rise from the west. And obviously Nimrud can't do that, right? And so he tells him again in a gentle way, he's like, hey, there's no way that you can be God because you don't know how to control the sun and the moon. You do not control life and death. That's something that's in Allah's hand. And so again, we see an example of him, gently telling people, even if they're wrong, he tells them very gently, like, okay, instead of yelling or screaming or getting, in an argument with them, he kind of tells them, okay, well, this is what the proof is, right? The proof is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring the sun up from the east. So can you change it and do it from the west? And of course, Nimrud was not able to do that. And so that was the end of that interaction. All right, so next we're going to go, they keep on traveling, and then they go to the area where Mecca is at. Let's see if I can get this back. All right. So they go to the area where Mecca is at. And does anyone know what the name of, there's two mountains in Mecca that we walk between. There's two mountains there. We're going to talk about the story a little bit, but does anyone know what the names are of those mountains? Very good. Yes. Alhamdulillah. A lot of you guys already know this. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So Safa and Marwa are the two mountains that we have in Mecca, or well, now it's called Mecca, but that area. The two mountains that are part of the story that we're going to talk about now. This next part of it, Prophet Ibrahim's story, he's still traveling and he's with Hajar alayhi salam, and they have a son. His name is Ismail. Okay, Prophet Ismail, you guys may have heard about him. So Hajar, Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail, they're on this journey. They're going together. At this time, Prophet Ismail is really small. He's like a little baby. And so as they're traveling, Prophet Ibrahim, he's commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take Hajar alayhi salam and to take Ismail alayhi salam and leave them in the desert, in that area that's now Makkah, right? In the area where now the Kaaba is. He's told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to leave them there, okay, in this desert. At that time, there was no, I don't know if any of you guys have been before to Mecca or Medina. There was no city there, there was no people there. There was no water, food, market, nothing. Okay, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, leave your family over here, right? So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he again trusts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of them. And so he takes them to that area and he puts them, like leaves them there, and he starts to walk away, right? He starts to walk away from them. And Hajar alayhi salam, she keeps saying, what are you doing? Why are you leaving us here? Like, are you just going to leave us here? She keeps asking him again and again, and he's not saying anything. He's not responding. And then finally she says, did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell you to do this? Did he tell you to leave us here? And then he says, he just nods his head, right? He just nods his head. And then she said, okay, that's fine. She doesn't continue to worry. She doesn't continue to panic. She says, okay, that's fine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of us. And so he leaves them there. And slowly, obviously, in a little while, a Prophet Ismail alayhi salam, he's a small baby at this time. He starts getting hungry. He starts getting thirsty. And so he's crying and he's like kicking around. And Hajar alayhi salam is like, okay, what do I do? Like he's really hungry. And so she begins to run between the mountains. She's searching, she's trying to look, she's saying, is there anything that I can give to him? Is there anything, any food, any other people around you that can help us? So she's running from one mountain, from Safa to Marwa, back and forth, up and down. If you guys see the picture on the screen, like the screen that I'm sharing, you see that little animated picture, but on the bottom where the green light is, that's the how Safa and Marwa, the mountains, that's kind of how they look now. The rest of it, obviously, people walk between the two mountains, all the time now. So it's kind of flat, and they put like, tiles or whatever on top of it. But this part that you see on the side, this is kind of how the original mountain was, much bigger, but that's kind of what it was. So can you imagine, like in the hot weather of Saudi, she was running between Safa and Marwa, continuously back and forth, back and forth. She does this 7 times, back and forth, and then finally Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he comes down and he gives them a special water. Does anyone know what the name of the special water is that was given to Ismail alayhi salam and Hajar alayhi salam at Safa and Marwa? Great. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Look at you guys. Yes. So the water, Zamzam water, it was a miraculous special water that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to them through Angel Jibreel. He came and he created, basically gave them the well of Zamzam. The water started coming from there, and it's a well that until today has not dried up. It continues to give water, and millions of people who go for Hajj or Umrah or anything to Saudi or to Mecca or Medina, they all drink from that water. They travel back with that water, and the supply is endless. SubhanAllah, it's one of the huge miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that was given to Hajar alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam, I'm sorry, Ismail alayhi salam. Eventually, when people see, like, that there's kind of birds circling this area, they realize there must be water here. So a lot of people come and they settle in that area, and they develop Mecca, right? Mecca becomes a city then. And so eventually Prophet Ibrahim alayhi is commanded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go back to his family. He goes back, he finds them, in good health. They have a whole community, a whole city around them, and they begin to travel again together. Whenever they're traveling again, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he has a dream. So I want you guys to notice, it's literally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him one challenge. He says, okay, can you go against what all the people are saying and not worship the idols, but worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's like a challenge, right? Then the next challenge is, can you leave your family in this area, right? Like where there's nothing else there? Do you trust Allah? Do you trust Allah and want to leave your family there and trust that Allah will take care of them? That's another challenge. And then now another one right after that, right? There's another challenge that comes up for him right after that, and that is this dream that he has. So he has a dream that he is sacrificing Ismail alayhi salam. He has this dream that he is sacrificing Ismail alayhi salam. And backwards. Sorry, 1 second, guys. All right, there we go. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he has this dream that he's sacrificing Ismail alayhi salam, right? He has this dream, and the first time he's like, oh, it must have just been, something else, and so he just kind of doesn't do anything about it. But then he has that dream again, and the Prophet's dreams are true. They're messages from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are true. So Prophet Ibrahim knows that, okay, this is a command from Allah that I have to sacrifice my son, and that's not something easy, right? Like imagine for all of you guys, imagine something that you really, really love. Maybe you have a little sibling that you really love, your parents, I don't know, a friend, it can be a relative, anything, right? Imagine something or someone that you truly, truly love, and you're being asked to be separated from them, right? And so this is something very difficult. It's like a huge sacrifice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking Ibrahim alayhi salam to do, right? And so Ibrahim alayhi salam, he tells Ismail alayhi salam his dream, and he says, okay, Allah has commanded me to do this. And Ismail alayhi salam says, hey, if Allah commanded you to do this, then I'm not going to ask questions about it. Like, you should go forward with it, you should do it. And so with a lot of struggle and with a lot of sacrifice, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice Ismail alayhi salam. He takes him to what we now know as the mountain of Arafah. He takes him there, and he gets his knife. He's ready. He's 100% prepared to do this, right? He's like, I'm going to do this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he goes there and he's ready to do the sacrifice, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaces Prophet Ismail with something else. Does anyone know what he replaces him with? Does Prophet Ibrahim end up sacrificing Prophet Ismail or something else? Yes, very good. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. So it's replaced with an animal. It's replaced with a ram, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves Ismail alayhi salam. Now here, this was another one, a huge test, right? Prophet Ibrahim didn't necessarily understand why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking him to sacrifice Prophet Ismail, but he knew this is a command. This is something that Allah wants me to do, and so I am going to do it, even if it's hard, even if it's something I don't fully understand, if it's something Allah asked me to do, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm going to do it, okay? And so that's what he does. And subhanAllah, it's a huge sacrifice. He shows Allah that I'm willing to sacrifice anything if Allah asks me to do it, right? So that's a pretty big display of sacrifice. So this happens, and then we're going to talk about one last part of his story, then we'll kind of jump into some other stuff, inshallah. But the last part of his story is that after this happens, Prophet Ibrahim goes and he is commanded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build the Kaaba. Okay, he builds the Kaaba. So this is like an older picture of the Kaaba from maybe like 70 years ago. But this is an older image, like an older drawing of the Kaaba. But you can see like it looks a little bit different, a little bit similar to what we have now, right? But the Prophet Ibrahim is commanded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build the Kaaba. And he's commanded to build the Kaaba in Mecca, right? And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he begins to build the Kaaba, and it's a place for all the people, all the Muslims from around the world to gather. And so until today, all the Muslims gather in for whether it's Umrah, whether it's Hajj, whether they're just going for whatever thing, they go to visit the Kaaba, right? And every single year, you guys all may know somebody that's going for Hajj this year, right? So everyone gathers there, and it's a place for all Muslims. It's a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put lots of blessings for believers to go there and to visit Allah's house and to visit the place Ibrahim alayhi salam built. If any of you guys have been, there's actually like a rock there that is called Maqam Ibrahim, and it has the footsteps of Prophet Ibrahim there. It's one of the rocks they say that Prophet Ibrahim stood on as he was putting the bricks for the Kaaba. He stood on this rock, and his footprints are in there, and it's still preserved until today. His footsteps are still there, so it's called Maqam Ibrahim, which is pretty cool. Okay, so he builds the Kaaba. That's kind of like one of the final things that we're going to talk about, is that he builds the Kaaba, and then he kind of uses that and makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow that to be a place where all the Muslims will gather, where all the Muslims will come together. And until today, alhamdulillah, that's something that we gather for and that we go to. So we'll stop with his story there, inshallah. Now we're going to jump into some of the lessons that we can learn from Prophet Ibrahim's story. Now, I should have probably mentioned this to you guys in the beginning, but we are going to play Kahoot after this. So I really hope everyone's, been paying attention or remembering some of the stuff that we talked about, because we'll see who wins the Kahoot, inshallah, at the very end. So we'll talk a little bit about the lessons, and then we'll jump into the Kahoot, inshallah. So in the questions area, the chat area, can anyone tell me, like, what are some lessons you think we can learn from Prophet Ibrahim's story? What are some things from his story that we can implement into our own lives? What do you guys think? Okay, so lots of people saying we learn patience from him. Yeah, we learn that we should be patient, that we should sacrifice or put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, we should do what Allah says. Work hard. That's a really good one. I like the idea that we should work hard. That's something that is really, really prevalent throughout the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? It's like to continue to work hard, to continue to be determined, to whether it's like finding the truth, right? He continued to search, who is Allah, who is my Lord? He didn't find the answer, so he kept looking for it in different places, right? And so that's one big example, right? Continuing to search for the truth, to always be patient and trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. Yeah, very good. Excellent. All right, Jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you. That's a lot of great comments on what we can learn from the life and the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So we'll cover a couple more of them, and then we'll jump into our Kahoot, inshallah. So one of the huge things that when I'm thinking about the story of Prophet Ibrahim, that I think we should all think about is how to disagree with somebody, right? So nowadays we live in a world where, do you guys know what cancel culture is? What does that mean? Cancel culture? What does it mean if you hear the term like someone's canceled? What does that mean? You guys should definitely know this one. Okay. Yeah. Okay, a couple ideas. If someone is, you guys have probably heard this term kind of thrown around, right? Or you've probably seen it happen, at least if you don't necessarily know the term. But this idea that we cancel people, right? So like if someone says, and I'm talking about, over small things, for example, like if someone says something that we disagree with, we disagree with them so hard that we cancel them, right? Like nobody can like talk about them, nobody can like be with them. Every single thing that they say is wrong. We just have to kind of literally cancel them. You know, like you cancel subscription the same way. We have to cancel them. We can't talk to them, can't talk about them, can't agree with them over anything, right? That's kind of the idea that we get. And so it's the same thing here, right? With Prophet Ibrahim's story, he shows us that any disagreement that we have is probably pretty small, right? For example, let's say you disagree with your parents on something, right? Your parents are telling you you need to, you know, for example, go and help your grandmother with something on the weekend, or you need to help an auntie with something over the weekend. You know, your grandmother, your parents are telling you something that you don't want to do, right? Or let's say, for example, you have a friend um, who's telling you to do something that you don't want to do or that you don't agree with, right? If we have instances like that in our life, in our culture, sometimes around us, like in our schools, with our other friends, you might be seeing the way to deal with that is to just be very rude and harsh with people, right? To be like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to scream. I'm not going to listen, right? That's kind of the idea that we get sometimes. But we have to look at our prophets. We have to look at the companions of the prophets and see when they had a disagreement with someone, when someone was rude to them, was harsh with them, was, you know, trying to harm them, how did they react, right? And trust me, I don't think anyone's trying to throw you into a fire, right? So for example, that was a huge thing, right? Someone's trying to throw Prophet Ibrahim into a fire, and his reaction is not like, you know, canceling people or being very aggressive towards them. His reaction was making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and calmly telling them, hey, I don't agree with you and I'm going to make dua for you, and then leaving, right? That's what he did. And so we have to make sure that we think about things the same way, right? You can think about any example in your own life, but Prophet Ibrahim's life teaches us, how do we disagree with someone? How do we say to someone, I don't agree with you, but that doesn't mean I have to be rude and I'm just going to walk away from this, right? So it's something to think about, inshallah. It can be big or small, with your siblings, with your parents, with your classmates, with your teachers, right? Think about it in different situations in your life and how that can work. Okay. All right. The next thing is trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. So this is something that we already talked quite a bit about. But trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is also called tawakkul. Like tawakkul is trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he's going to take care of you. And so sometimes we don't understand why something is happening in our life, right? So we question it. We're like, why is this happening? But a big part of what we need to learn as Muslims is to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the one who's in control of our life, right? And he's going to do everything in the perfect order, the way it should be done. So one example I want to give to you, right? So some people might think, okay, well, if I have tawakkul, that means that I can never feel sad, I can never feel angry, I can never feel upset. Does that sound right to you guys? If you trust Allah, that means you'll never be angry, you'll never be sad, and you'll never be upset. Is that not what tawakkul means? No, yes, have a mixed bag. Some people are saying, yeah, that's what tawakkul means, that you're not going to be mad, you're not going to be upset, you're always just going to be like, okay, alhamdulillah, everything's fine, all good, right? But that's not, right? It's not necessarily what it means, right? So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling, and I'm going to give you an example in just a second, but what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here is that tawakkul is trusting that Allah will take care of you. But it's okay to be upset when something bad happens, right? Like let's say you studied really, really hard for a test that you had and you get a bad grade on the test. It's okay to be upset that you got a bad grade, but it's not okay to be like, well, why did this happen to me? Allah doesn't care about me. Like it's not okay to question or to doubt Allah, but it's okay to be upset or to be sad or to feel frustrated that something bad happened to you, right? And I'm going to give you an example in just a second, 2 examples, all right? Sorry, guys, I don't know what's happening with this Prezi today. All right, let's see if I can go to this one. Okay, here's an example I want to give to you. Okay, so this is a picture I took today of my son. He was sitting on the counter and he was playing. Can you guys see what he's playing with? Can anyone tell me what that looks like? What is he playing with? What do you see in that little white bucket? Okay, yeah, so you see, exactly. So some people are like, yeah, you see paint, you see ice, looks like, you know, a bunch of random stuff in there, right? So it's just colored water, right? It's just paint and water, and he put ice into it, right? But the thing that's making the different colors, the green and the red, is paint, okay? So is it safe to eat paint? Would you guys recommend eating paint for dinner? Is that something you would do? If you saw a kid eating paint, would you try to stop them? I hope we all have the same answer. If you saw a kid eating paint, what would you do? Of course, right? Yeah, everyone's like, yes, of course, 100% I would stop them. Well, we were playing. I took this picture just because I was like, oh, this is nice. He's playing with something. Just took the picture for fun. About 2 minutes later, he took a bunch of the ice into his spoon and he started to eat it. Okay, and the ice was red because it had so much paint in it. And so what did I do? I went and I took the ice from him and I said, nope, you can't eat that because it's probably going to hurt your stomach, right? So I took it away from him. And do you think he was happy about that? What do you guys think his reaction was when I took away the ice that he was trying to eat? Exactly. Yeah. All of you guys are 100% right. He was so mad. He was so mad and he started to cry and he was saying he wanted to eat the ice. Like that's all he wanted to do. He was really upset that I took it away from him. But we as adults or as older people, none of us are 2 years old anymore. He's two, but he doesn't know, right? He doesn't know that if he eats paint, it's going to hurt his stomach. He doesn't know that. But we're older. We know that eating paint is not good for your stomach. It will hurt you. But that's something he doesn't know. So for him, he feels like I'm stopping him from having fun. I'm doing something, wrong or something bad for him. This is not fun. He wants to do it. He wants to eat the ice, right? And so this is kind of an example. I want you guys to put back a little bit on yourselves, right? This is just me as a parent and him as a child. There's a difference in what I know and what he knows. He thinks it's okay to eat red ice, right? And I know it's not okay to eat red ice. Now I want you to make that obviously the example of Allah we can't compare to anything, right? But just imagine the difference in knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has about us and our life versus us, the creation of Allah, right? So for me right now, I got, for example, a bad grade or something hard or something bad happens in my life, I can be really mad, right? I can be like, I didn't get into the sports team or I didn't get into, whatever class or whatever group I was trying to get into. It didn't work for me, right? I didn't get to get um, this thing I was trying to get. And we can be angry and mad and we can possibly even cry about it. We be really upset, right? But we have to trust that the one who created us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knows best what we need and what is good for us, right? The same way that I can 100% with confidence tell my son, no, you can't eat that ice. It's not okay. Even more than that, the gap in the knowledge that I have and the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has is huge, right? Allah knows everything in the whole earth, in the whole world, in the whole universe. And so he knows what's good for me and what's bad for me, right? And sometimes I may not understand it. Sometimes we might not get it, guys. We might not get, why is this happening to me? Like we might ask that question, but we have to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's bigger than us, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knows everything. And there is a reason behind what's happening to you. But it's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry about it. It's okay to be angry. But we have to always remember at the very base, at the very root, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing whatever he's doing for the best for us. All right, so I'm going to finish this one last slide and then we're going to jump into our Kahoot, inshallah. So I want to leave you guys with this hadith. This is a hadith that we get from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm going to read it off in English and then I'll explain it. Then we'll jump to Kahoot, inshallah. And just heads up, one of the Kahoot questions is about this hadith, so I would look at it carefully if I was you. So the Prophet Muhammad said, the example of a believer is that of a fresh green plant, the leaves of which move in whatever direction the wind forces them to move, and when the wind becomes still, it stands straight. Such is the similitude of the believer. He is disturbed by calamities, but is like a fresh plant. He regains his normal state soon. And the example of a disbeliever is that of a pine tree, which remains hard and straight till Allah cuts it down when he wills. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to explain this, and then we're going to go ahead and go into Kahoot, inshallah. So here, the Prophet Muhammad is giving us a beautiful example of what it is like to be a Muslim. What is it like to be a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says it's like a fresh green plant. It's a green plant. If you guys have ever done gardening or planted anything before, it's a little green plant that comes out of the ground, right? It comes out of the soil. It has roots that are there, but when the wind blows really strong, when there's a storm, it kind of sways back and forth. It might bend over a little bit, but it kind of moves around, okay? But it stays in the ground. It stays rooted in the ground. And when the storm stops, when the storm passes, when the wind dies down, the plant is still there and it comes back into its standing position. And so that's the example we're given of a Muslim. The example of a person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that when there is hardship, like when something hard happens in our life, when something upsetting happens in our life, it's normal for you to feel sad, for you to feel happy, for you to move around in the wind. Like you're not 100% always going to say, yeah, everything's good, all good, fine, everything's fine, alhamdulillah, all good, right? It's normal for us to move a little bit, to be upset, to be happy, to have moments of you know, good times and bad times, basically, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that's normal, that's good for a believer. And whenever things are, you always at the bottom, your root is always in faith, right? Your root is always with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You believe in Allah. You can be sad and believe in Allah. You can be happy and believe in Allah and trust in Allah's plan. So that's kind of the idea that we get from this, versus a disbeliever, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, is very rigid, right? He stands very straight. So if anything hard or any difficulty comes on them, they kind of just break. They can't really bend and be flexible with the changes that come in their life. So inshallah, I'll stop there. Hopefully you guys are able to kind of get some benefit from this. We'll jump into the Kahoot and we'll kind of see who comes out on top, inshallah. So give me just a second to pull that up for you guys. All right. Okay, so you can grab whatever device you're going to be using to play Kahoot, inshallah. And you're going to see this game pin on top. So you're going to go ahead and insert that game pin whenever you go to kahoot.it. So you're going to start seeing your names pop up here. Yep, there we go. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just like a few seconds to jump on in, inshallah. And then we'll get started. All right, 30 more seconds for anyone who's going to jump on, then we'll go ahead and get started, inshallah. All right. All right, bismillah, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Kahoot. Are you guys ready? Bismillah, let's get started. So the first question, what was the name of one of Prophet Ibrahim's sons? All right. What was the name of Prophet? Very good. Alhamdulillah. Good job, guys. Prophet Ismail. Very good. Yeah. So we learned about Prophet Ismail. He was Prophet Ibrahim's son. One of his sons. The other one is one that we did not get to talk about today. Inshallah, next time. Well. All right. What was the name of the water that Hajar alayhi salam was given in Mecca? Alrighty, time is almost up. What was the name of the water that Hajar alayhi salam was given? Let's see. All right, excellent. Alhamdulillah. The water was Zamzam, the water of Zamzam, which we said is still until today running through Mecca. All right. All right, where was the Kaaba built? If you weren't able to join the Kahoot, you can feel free to answer the question in the chat, and I'm still watching that one too. So if you weren't able to join, just go ahead and answer in the chat, inshallah. All righties, let's see what these answers are. The Kaaba was built in Mecca. Very good. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad we all know that one. Okay. The example from the hadith that we just finished of a believer was like a What did it say? The believer is like a fresh something something. Does anyone remember? All right, lots of people in the chat are getting it right. Very good, mashallah. Let's see what the Kahoot people. Yep, excellent. The example of a believer was like a fresh green plant. Remember, it's a plant that's flexible, moves around. All right, we got someone on top. So Prophet Ibrahim's father made what to sell in the marketplace? What did he used to sell and make? Excellent, very nice. He used to make idols, yeah. Very good. All righties. Prophet Ismail's mother, she ran between two mountains. What was the name of the two mountains? In this one, there's two choices, so if you choose either one, you will get it right. All right, people in the chat. Yes, very good. Safa and Marwa were the two mountains. All right, we have someone new on top. We still have a few more questions to go, so everyone will have a chance, inshallah. All right, when Prophet Ibrahim was thrown in the fire, he was hurt badly. True or false? Very good. Yes, false. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the fire to be cool and to not harm him. All right, Prophet Ibrahim destroyed the biggest idol when everyone was gone to the festival. True or false? False. Yep. He destroyed all the idols except the biggest one. Very good. Nice. All right. Prophet Ibrahim's title in the Quran is, what is he called? He has a special name that he was given from Allah. I think this one's a little bit harder, so try to remember. Yeah. A few people in the chat have got it right. Very good. Yeah. Excellent. Yes. The special title that Prophet Ibrahim was given was Khalilullah. That was one that was a little bit hard, so excellent job if you tried it. Khalilullah means the friend of Allah, the special friend of Allah. All right, which direction did Prophet Ibrahim tell Nimrud to raise the sun from? He told him if he was the god, then he could raise the sun from a different direction. What direction was that? Very good. Yes, a lot of people in the chat got it right. Very nice. Yep. He told him, can you raise the sun from the west if you are God? And obviously he was not able to. All right, the last few questions. What was the name of the angel that came to Hajar alayhi salam when she was walking between Safa and Marwa? What was the angel who gave her the news of the water, that there would be a special Zamzam water there? What was the angel's name? Excellent. Most of you guys have got it. Perfect. Angel Jibreel. Very nice. Alhamdulillah. All right, last two questions. Which month of the Islamic calendar did we just start? We just started the Islamic month of, very good, Dhul Hijjah, yeah. So we said that was one of the reasons we're talking about Prophet Ibrahim, is because a lot of what he did, the sacrifices that he made, are things that we celebrate during Dhul Hijjah, like going for Umrah at the Kaaba that he built, right? And then going between Safa and Marwa, and then seeing the footsteps of Prophet Ibrahim there, and going to Arafah where he almost sacrificed Ismail alayhi salam. So lots of things that we do in Hajj that are similar to what Prophet Ibrahim do to celebrate the sacrifices that he made. All righties, last question, inshallah, before we wrap up. At which level of Jannah or heaven did Prophet Muhammad meet Prophet Ibrahim? On what level of Jannah? Very good. Alhamdulillah. A lot of you guys have got it. We talked about this in the very beginning. One of the special honors that Prophet Ibrahim was given is that he met Prophet Muhammad on a very specific level of paradise. As far as we know, it's the, let's see how many people got it. He met him on the 7th level. Very good. Alhamdulillah. Very good job. All right. Awesome. All right. With that, we will wrap up our Kahoot game. Let's see who came out on top. All right. Look at that. We have Hania in 3rd, Ibrahim in 2nd, and in 1st place, we have Humaira and Zamir. Very good. And thank you to everybody who also put their answers in the chat. I could see all of those too. Alhamdulillah. All right, we'll flip back to our presentation. Alhamdulillah, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'll pass it back to the moderator. Jazakallah khairan, everybody, for joining. I hope that we all got a chance to learn something about the life of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And inshallah, please continue to do as much good as you can during these special days of Dhul Hijjah, and make dua for everybody who's here and all the people who are teaching and organizing too, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Hamna, for delivering such an engaging, informative, and inspirational talk that resonated deeply with all of us, as I can see from the chat and the Kahoot, mashallah. Your ability to connect with our audience, particularly our young participants, was truly remarkable. And I think that your words really sparked curiosity and encouraged reflection. And inshallah, it left a lasting impact on everyone who listened. So we're going to end with Surah Al-Asr and dua. O Allah, bless us in these blessed 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Grant us the wisdom, strength, and guidance to make the most of this sacred time. Help us seek your pleasure in our actions. May these days be a source of blessings, forgiveness, and positive change in our lives. Accept our efforts and grant us the rewards of these sacred days. Ameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته